Good morning, everybody. I'm Don Stewart, and welcome to a very special edition of Breaking News for this Sunday, the 26th day of January, 2025. Recently, we have not been doing breaking news on Sunday. Instead, we have a feature called Sunday Messages, which we will be doing later today. But in the last 24 hours, a lot of things have happened, and we have mentioned in the past that if something breaks, we will stop our usual routine and do a Sunday or Saturday even breaking news simply because the events warrant it. And so much has happened in the last 24 hours over in Israel. We decided to do this special breaking news this morning, this segment today. Four headlines we want to get to real quickly that are seemingly indicating the ceasefire hostage deal may be falling apart. And that's why we're doing this. Okay, here's the latest. First headline: Hamas violates the ceasefire deal by failing to provide a hostage status report. Second headline: IDF spokesman says Hamas did not keep the deal in the releasing of the four hostages yesterday. Crowds of Gazans gather at passages waiting to return to northern area, but they're not allowed to go back to the north as they were supposed to after what happened yesterday because they again reneged on the deal. That is Hamas. And Hamas parades victory in the hostage deal. And the message behind the spectacle is we're in charge, but it may seem very soon they're not in charge at all. And instead of being out, in public and brazenly walking down the streets of Gaza and even though they're hiding their faces, seemingly may have to go back into their tunnels again because of what's going on. So let's get to this. And we'll talk about more of this, obviously, this coming week. There's so many other really important stories that have come up, but these four demand, a special edition of breaking news. Okay, here's the first one. Hamas violates ceasefire deal by failing to provide hostage status report. It's from the Jerusalem Post. An Israeli official reportedly said that failure to provide the list by the end of the day would be another violation of the agreement by Hamas. What's going on? Hamas has not yet provided Israel with the list revealing the status of the hostages held in Gaza captivity, which it was obligated to provide yesterday, Saturday, under the ceasefire agreement. According to Walla, that's an Israeli news source citing Israeli officials, the list was expected to include details of how many of the hostages remaining in Hamas captivity are still alive and how many are deceased. In other words, they don't want to tell Israel how many of these, 33, remember there's going to be 33 released, 7 have been released, 26 more to be released. How many of these are dead and how many are still alive? Hamas is supposed to give them a list, and yet they haven't done that. They've broken the deal again. An Israeli official report, he said, failure to provide the list that by the end of the day would be another violation of the agreement by Hamas. When we talk about another violation, there was a previous one. Let's get to that next. Headline number 2, IDF spokesman. Hamas did not keep the deal. IDF spokesman Daniel Hagari on Saturday warned that the Hamas terror group has violated the ceasefire prisoner swap. Why? Which clearly stated that civilian hostages would be returned before the IDF soldiers. And that did not take place. We will demand that Arbel Yehud return, and we are committed to bringing Agam Berger home, he emphasized. These are two female hostages that, again, should have been released. Agam Berger is the fifth and only remaining IDF lookout kidnapped from the Nir Oz military base during the October 7th massacre. And she's been held hostage in Gaza. The other four, of course, were released yesterday. Arbel Yehud and Shiri Babas are the last remaining civilian women held in Gaza. Shiri and her two sons, Kafir and Ariel, Kafir is 2, remember him, got the baby, and Ariel 5, were among those who were supposed to be released in November 2023 in violation of a deal which demanded the release of all children held hostage in Gaza and the children not be separated from their mothers. Shiri's husband, Yarden, is also expected to be released in the current deal due to his injuries. Now, regarding the Bibas family, Hagari said Israel is greatly concerned about their fate. Israel expects to receive certainty on the matter. Hamas falsely represented how it's treated the hostages when in reality it's brutally held innocent hostages for 477 days. During the past few hours, Hamas has proven its cruelty again by organizing a cynical ceremony. This is a murderous terrorist organization, and it's important that the world remember this. Now, they're seeming to at least forgetting this. We've got a story tomorrow we're going to do about something going on in the U.S. that is very, very troubling with respect to Israel, but that'll have to wait till tomorrow. Now, here's one of the fallouts from this. Headline number 3. Crowds of Gazans gathered passages waiting to return to northern areas. This is from Ynet, another Israeli news source. Israel and Gaza factions exchange blame over delay in allowing displaced residents of northern Gaza to move back, while Hamas fails to release Arbel Yehud or deliver details on the condition of the remaining hostages to be freed in the first phase of the deal. A large crowd of these displaced Gazans on Sunday gathered near the Netzarim corridor, waiting to cross into the northern parts of the Gaza Strip. They've been in the south. They're supposed to be able to go back north. That was part of the deal. Yet their passage has been delayed because Hamas has failed to comply in two areas. That is, the commitment to release the 28-year-old Israeli civilian on Saturday under the terms of the agreement, and also by not certifying who is alive and who is dead with respect to the remaining 26 hostages. So they're spending the night outdoors. These Gazans are on a road trying to get back to their homes in northern Gaza, and we've got a stalemate right now. And so we're waiting to see what happens. And finally, the fourth headline, Hamas parades victory in hostage deal, the message behind the spectacle. This is from Jerusalem Post also. Hamas put together a spectacle in Gaza designed to humiliate Israel to create the image of Hamas as a military organization conducting a military handover of prisoners of war. They used the occasion yesterday to showcase its sense that it has achieved victory over Israel by trying to humiliate Israel and create this image of Hamas as this brave military organization that's, basically handing over prisoners of war when there was no such thing. These are innocent people that were kidnapped, hostages, not prisoners. They didn't do anything wrong against Hamas, as it were. So basically, it doesn't fit with the reality of what happened on October 7th. But Hamas is trying to give the perception, as we've been saying, that they're going to continue to rule in Gaza, and the hostage deal, ceasefire deal, is an example of this. When this is all done after 6 weeks, be going to the second phase, which will include the actually Israel leaving this IDF, Israeli Defense Force, leaving Gaza and leaving Hamas to rule it again and rebuild, and that's what their hope is, and that's what they're saying publicly. But it seems like the reality is different. All right, the victory stance, again, of Hamas may be very short-lived if they don't follow through with one, the list of the hostages still alive, as well as releasing the last of these non-combatant civilians, including this one family with two children. In other words, the ceasefire deal may soon be over, and Hamas terrorists will have to again hide underground in their tunnels as Israel will continue their military campaign. So this is huge news. It's only the second weekend of the hostage release, and already the thing is falling apart. So we'll see what happens. Again, that's why we did this very special edition of Breaking News to inform you of that. Also, there are, like we said, a number of very, very important stories internationally and with also the Middle East that need to be spoken of. We'll do that tomorrow, and only God knows what else will come up in the meantime. Anyway, I'm Don Stewart. Later today, we will have our second part of our message on forgiveness, understanding forgiveness, on our Sunday messages. It's message number 2 from our book, My 25 Favorite Messages That I Preach, which is a free download to everyone. It goes to our website, Educating Our World, under the heading of Christian Living. So we'll be doing that later today, but we've decided to do this morning first because of the importance of it and how, who knows what's going to happen here. So we'll keep you informed. Until soon, again, as we talk, I'm Don Stewart. Thanks for watching, and as always, may the Lord richly, richly bless.